Okay, we've got this party started a little early. It's really weird. I'm normally not an early person. Now, let me be completely honest. I actually normally try to be early. So, I set it at 5:30 thinking, "Oh, I'll start at 5:30 cuz that's normally what I do when I start at 6." And of course, I came out even earlier to make sure that I was prepped and ready, and here we are earlier than 5:30. But we're going to get started. That gives me a chance to make sure that the volume is working. It seems to be an issue I've had multiple times, and that the internet is not going too slow. So here we are. We're going to get started on Swimming with the Pontoon number 36 on this Sunday. Number 36. Whew, that's a lot. That's a lot of Sundays. And I've missed a few here and there. I know I missed about a month back in February because of things that were going on, and then a few here and there as I went out of town, and then this last month or so, I definitely missed a few. So here we are. We're gonna get started. I hope everybody has had a good week. I hope your weekends are good. Here in Louisiana, today the weather has been spectacular. We started off in like the mid 70s, which is extremely cool for us this time of year, and it rose back up to almost 90 degrees, but still beautiful weather. Honestly, I didn't want to come in and do the video, to be completely honest. I took today off for the most part. Managed to take quite a bit of yesterday off, and which means, of course, that tomorrow will be a very busy day catching up. But when the weather is nice, you have to get out and enjoy it. So I have done that, but I'm not far behind. I'm truly not far behind. Mostly, it will be a busy day. Monday should be a busy day. That's normal. I will prevail. It was worth it. As I said, the weather was beautiful. I know yesterday I managed to go take the project car out and give it its first real, cruise. I've taken it back and forth to the post office to drop off packages, and I've run it down to the gas station, but I've not really taken it out for a good, any. I've not really taken it out for longer than like 30 minutes. I was gone for about an hour. That's not a really long time, but it was good. Things, the car ran good. No true complaints. I mean, if there's any complaint, it would just be that, and this kind of goes along with just about anything. It's not as powerful as I would like it to be. I know that I still have some tuning to do on it, a few little bits and bobs, if you will, but it did make it the entire cruise. Nothing messed up. There wasn't any issues. Um, and I was very aware of everything. I was trying to find something wrong. I was, is there a bump in the do I have issues with the tire? Do I hear an extra noise that I don't normally hear? Hey, what's up, Joe? Good to have you here. I'm honestly just kind of rambling about taking the project car out yesterday. We've had such amazing weather this weekend here in Louisiana that I've taken a few days off. For the most part, I had some polishing to take care of, and some emails and website stuff, but I still, for the most part, have kind of taken a couple days off, which is nice. And again, I'll make up for it tomorrow. It's going to be a busy day tomorrow. But yes, the project car, and if you've been around for a little while, you've heard me talk about it. Hey, what's up, Dave? What is up? Good to have you here. Uh, yes, Joe. Sometimes the weather. I mean, I come from originally up north, so no, we don't have the same winters that we do up north. But it does get extremely hot and extremely humid. if you can't do the humidity, this is probably not the place for you. But yes, overall, the weather is relatively nice year round. So there's that. Um, yes, I mean, I could not live back up north. I mean, for the right amount of money, maybe I could, but Arizona heat, Dave. Yes, dry heat, good old dry heat. Um, excuse me. Arizona is one place that if I was going to move from Louisiana, Arizona is on the list. Somewhere with some good desert dry heat. So I'm I'm not opposed to it if everything were to work right. So like I said, I took advantage of that, took the car out. And if you've been around, you've heard me bitching and moaning about this car and getting it back together and the finding parts for it. Finally being able to take it for a little bit of a trip, like I said, it was only about an hour, is kind of a big deal. And it's funny because the last couple days on Facebook, memories have popped up from last year this time when I was working on it up on the lift, and I was getting ready to send the head off to the machine shop. What is up, Mr. MR2 Scroll Christian? Good to have you here. um was getting ready to send parts off to the machine shop, the head being one, and that head is actually still at the machine shop. He's never gotten a hold of me. um I'll probably wait till the weather gets a little bit cooler before I'm finally like, hey, you guys, are you done with it yet? Are you? Because like I said, I bought another head for that car. It's not as nice, but I wanted to get the car going. But the car is going. Like I said, I had a chance to take it for a little spin. Not too bad. Steven, what's up, man? Good to have you here. But I did do one thing with the car that I'm kind of, and I know you guys are here. It's Tactical Pontoon on Sundays. We're just gonna hang out. We'll talk some gun stuff as well, but I'm gonna talk about the car. I need to get back on the other channel for the cars, but we'll see. Eventually, it'll happen. I did do one thing. I wanted just a little bit of different tone to the car. And so I bought a relatively inexpensive resonator, which is really kind of a glorified way of saying a glass pack, except for instead of louvers, it's just perforated core with, of course, your packing. And I bought one. It's a 16-inch resonator. I thought, okay, I want just a little bit of tone, and it will just, mature it a bit, because as it did sound quite a bit like a diesel. Turbo spool, just really rough sounding. And I was hoping that this resonator would just take a little edge off of it. Now, it did that. It did take a little bit of an edge off of it, so it does have a nice tone. Unfortunately, it pretty much got rid of the turbo spool noise that I really liked. Because as I said, it sounded like a diesel spooling up. Those guys in their old Power Strokes that it sounds like a jet running through the parking lot. That's what the car sounded like. And that resonator pretty much absorbed all of that. There's a little tone of it there, but not like there was. So while I'm happy that it helped give the car a little bit of, quieted it down just a hair. Losing all that turbo noise, not a huge fan. So like anything else, you fix one thing, you cause another issue. I'll probably buy a manual cutout. I'm not fancy enough for electric cutout. I'll probably put a cutout on it. So sometimes I can be really loud and annoying, and other times quiet it down just a hair. So anyways, that's kind of my little update with the project car. But back to tactical pontoon and guns and that sort of thing. I found out last week, and I meant to bring this up on the last stream, The High Point Yeet Cannon 2 or YC9, it actually released. I know, we talked about it, man, almost a year ago at this point. Where did it go? Well, they actually released them. I saw somebody on a group that had posted one, and I was like, holy crap, they finally released it. I didn't even, shows how much I know. But I guess they've released it like almost at this point a month and a half, 2 months ago. So the YC9 actually exists. I'm sure you guys have probably seen videos on them and that sort of thing, but now I'm behind. I'm gonna watch. Maybe I'll find one. Maybe I'll pick one up to take a look at. I don't know. But never shot one. I have shot one. It's been a while ago. I don't. Nothing really stuck out to me about it. I've got it here. I've got one here in the shop. Meh. It is something that you probably, the thing is, going back to really what the High Point is, aside from like a Saturday night special, if you don't have any other money and you need something to defend yourself around the house, I would buy, if that's the only money I had, aside from maybe going into a pawn shop and buying an old shotgun, the High Point's got its place. Steven, they got enough pots and pans to melt down to make a couple, I guess. Either way, the Yeet Cannon is a cool name. Hey, all right. You made it. All right. That is the funny thing about those slides, is how the cheap pot metal that they use for those slides. That's why that has such a beefy slide, is the cheap metal, and then of course the type of recoil system that they use. The High Point High Point carbine is, from what I've been told, really relatively nice for what it is. When I say relatively nice, I mean it works. It's not a nice looking thing. It, like anything else High Point makes, it's almost as butt ugly as something that Kel-Tec would make, except for it functions. It's the thing about Kel-Tec. Function is kind of an option. Some of them are built that way where they actually function, and some of them not. But so the YC9 actually released. I did not realize that. I don't. Maybe I'll pick one up. I have other things I really need to spend money on. I've been working on getting different stock in on the site, to make sure that, just expand so that you can order in one place, between the pins, the magwells. I'm getting in the magwells for the Generation 3s. A good 9mm 45 caliber carbine is a fun little toy to play with. Growing up, we had a 9mm carbine. It's fun. A little bit bigger than 22, on the 9mm side. Obviously, we had a lot of fun with that carbine. So, magwells, the mag extensions. On the mag extensions, my plan is to make a video on how those +5 mag extensions go together, because I've had a couple people that have emailed me, or messaged me wondering, because there's not actually instructions on them. They're relatively easy, but the first time you do one, I know the first time I did one, it took me a minute to really figure it all out. So I am going to do a video on those, and I was actually practicing for that video, so I can do it relatively smoothly on camera when I do that video. And I lost the spring. There's a spring that holds a detent for the mag extension, and if you're not careful, you can lose that spring. And I was sitting here, waiting until time to start the stream, practicing on the third try of doing it over again. Ping, I lost the spring. One of the things that makes me realize what I'm going to do is I will buy extra springs to have here in the shop from the Gunco, so that should you guys run into that problem, I can help you out and get you a spring out there. They are really like anything else. Simple things can cause issues, but they are really easy to put together. But I was kind of getting in a rush, and it's a spring. You can lose them. So I had to eat crow because I've told quite a few people, oh, they're easy to put together. And they are. But mistakes happen. So I'll be doing that video soon. And yeah, they're nice. They really are a nice +5 extension. One of my favorites, and I've used a ton of different ones, from the Terran Tacticals, Shield, the Polymer Strike magazine +5s, Zev. I've used a little bit of everybody's, and they all fit together in different configurations and whatnot. I really love the Guncos, and I've screwed up putting mag extensions on. You got to be careful with mag extensions. If you don't do it right, sometimes those springs will bind up, or if they don't send springs and they want you to use the factory springs, that's always a mess. Anyways, I just got a Radian Ramjet, an afterburner for my G45. I'm impressed. Really helps those hot rounds I like to run. I'm hearing a lot of great things about the Radian. I saw some posts, somebody was questioning the Radian. And when I say I've seen a lot of people really like the Radian, I don't just mean YouTube reviews and that sort of thing. I just mean in general, from people that I know who know how to shoot and enjoy shooting. I'm hearing a lot of great things about the Radian. Personally, I like ported setups, but I'm going to have to try one of these Radians out. I would enjoy putting a Radian on something. I'm going to be picking up eventually a new Generation 5 for the shop for a test frame. But along with that, I do want to do a full Generation 5 buildup. And the Radian Ramjet is one of those things that's on the list of things to get for it. Do some testing, take a look at it here in the shop, and just kind of see. Steven, I see people not seat springs properly a lot. Then they only get +2 instead of +5, and they blame the mag extension. Exactly. I was supposed to have the mag extension here, but after that fiasco and me not being able to find the spring, I set it back there. Kind of got upset with it and myself more than anything. Between, like you said, not getting the spring situated proper, or pinched, or what do you call it, seat properly, you also, if you're not careful, and people can make this mistake, you can flip that spring around the wrong way, and you're going to fight getting it back together, but then you're going to run into misfeeds and issues like that. Making sure that when you take that initial magazine apart, look how things go together. Because if you get excited, and people do, they get a new shiny part, they might be new at this, take that magazine apart and not realize how things go back together. It's just like when people get a new trigger and they drop it in dry, unless it's one of mine and it's got grease on it. They're dropping those parts in, they drop them in dry, and then they ruin it. Well, then the part's bad. Well, no. Read the instructions. Take a look. I say that. Everybody, not everybody. What you do is you try to eliminate the guesswork out of things, but there's only so much. And even with, like, for example, my triggers and stuff, I don't send real detailed instructions. I have the installation and troubleshooting stuff in the on the website, but there is a certain point where a person needs to do a little research, find out what works. Because if everything is just fed to a person, you don't really learn anything. That's something I've found. Now that being said, I do try to bring a ton of information and try to give you guys little hints and pointers and that sort of thing. But I really believe that people need to make mistakes. Learning is, you really learn the most by some hard lessons, some mistakes. Uh, which depending on how you look at it, that's maybe more of an old school approach, but at the same time it's worked. But anyways, I make mistakes all the time. I do, whether it's cars, whether it's components, building a trigger and I end up having to scrap a part, or this one always kills me, making a mistake on a trigger safety, or getting orders all lined up and getting them shipped out and realizing after they send me an email that I flipped an order. I've done that. That one upsets me a lot. It's just where I flipped an order. I've got everything wrote out and somehow along the way I have mispackaged something and I've screwed up somebody's order. I hate that one. I do my best to get it taken care of as quickly as possible. But making mistakes is just part of life. Um, hey, what's up, Stuart? We got Nordic Nevadan in the house, the man who does the Tactical Pontoon t-shirts. If you want a Tactical Pontoon t-shirt, that's the man there, Nordic Nevadan. I tell you, I need to. I think I've said this in the past, Stuart. I need to go ahead and order a. I just need to order some t-shirts, or maybe just put a link on the website and be able to just list some on the website. I just need to go ahead and do that. Yes, Steven. Sometimes you'll ship something to someone who's not very understanding. Yeah, that I've had that happen, uh, which isn't fun. What can I say? There are some people that get a little upset. The Peacemaker. I had it up here. I got to show this one off again. I love this shirt. I love this design. I'm gonna wear that one out. I love that design. I could accidentally send you a Leonidas. Maybe. I have not done that one. Normally it's colors. Normally it'll be like 2 FDE triggers. One of them, and this latest one was a black one and a copper safety. Same color trigger. I just sent one and I put it in the envelope and everything, or the plastic bag before the box, and I just flipped them around and sent them out. Things happen, and I try to make sure that they don't, but it does. It does happen. The refund guy, Dave, the refund guy. Yeah, the guy that I refunded all of his money and he was still very upset. That was the VP9 guy. Man, haven't heard from him in a while. Thank goodness. Stuart, yes. Let me work on that this week. I'll get with you and we'll come up with prices and that sort of thing. And maybe what I'll do, I mean, I know you've got prices. What I'll do is basically have a note on the website where you purchase it and basically it's going to come from a third or another supplier. So if you order it with a trigger, you'll get two different packages. I'll write it up on the website. I'll work on it this week. So we'll make that happen. Just launched a Glocktober shirt. Hey guys, now is the time for a Glocktober shirt. We're what? Today is the 8th. So you still got a good 20 days to wear a Glocktober shirt. Here we are in Glocktober. And if you are signed up to the newsletter, yes, I have been sending out a newsletter almost every day. I like Glocktober. I like doing something special for Glocktober. So there's going to be some random ones. There's going to be free shipping. There might be $5 off this, or maybe I'll throw a trigger group on sale. We shall see. So if you've seen me spam you, sorry, not sorry, but you could save some money. Could be just exactly what you want. Just don't call it spam. If you would, I think on Yahoo, I really believe on Yahoo, my stuff, Yahoo Mail, I think my stuff goes directly to spam in people's inboxes. Because I've not seen my newsletter come up in one of my Yahoo accounts for like 2 or 3 months. So that being said, if you're signing up under Yahoo, there's a possibility that you may never see any of my newsletters. Just something I'm saying. Yeah, Stuart. He emailed, or did he email? I know it DM'd. He DM'd a ton of different people, different companies. Anybody that was like my friend on Instagram, he DM'd with the same message. And so I got a ton of messages asking, what in the world is this guy talking about? That was classic. After 5 days, he was already asking because it wasn't there yet. Then he wasn't there when it made it to his door. I believe that. I have seen, while I have had good experiences with people, I have also had some interesting experiences with people and shipping. I know back when I was doing this on the side and we had just the Excommunicado series, and there was a lead time of 4 weeks, call it. That was the normal lead time. I would get people that didn't read the website because I made sure it was big and bold in there, and they would freak out and ask me, why hasn't it shipped? And I'm like, well, there's a lead time. Oh, I can't believe that. This and that. And then they would ask for refunds and that sort of thing. But I also had, and back when I was running it through just PayPal, the payment system through PayPal, I had several people that did a claim that they never got their part. You get some, fortunately with PayPal, I was able to I had all of the different, I had the invoice, I had the shipping and tracking and all that stuff. And they were able to, reverse that one relatively easy. But you get some interesting people, or they don't put the right address in. They put an old address in. I used to run into that more with PayPal when I ran the website through PayPal, because people would not keep their addresses up to date. Well, I'm sorry, if your address wasn't right on PayPal, so we're used to run into that with the new system, with the new payment processor. I don't run into that. But yeah, you run into some interesting people. You run into some great people as well. Some amazing people that are fully understanding, that are perfectly fine with mistakes or with slow shipping. I know here lately shipping's been pretty decent, but back in like 2020 and 2021, shipping was a nightmare. I would see packages, especially in Baton Rouge. My stuff here, no matter where it comes from, goes to Baton Rouge first. And during those times in 2020, 2021, stuff would sit in Baton Rouge for like 2 or 3 or 4 days and not move. And I would get people that were asking, well, why is my package not moving? Why? I'm like, I don't know. I I would ask at the post office and I would phone call when I could. And you never really got much of an answer except for processing times and that sort of thing. But back then, things would sit in Baton Rouge for days. So no matter where I sent it out to, or no, and then I would run into packages, parts packages, shipments of supplies that would get stuck in Baton Rouge as well. Crazy times. Shipping is fun. Yeah, the post office is not the easiest one to deal with. They're really not. Uh, all of the shipping companies are kind of hit or miss. I have had good luck overall shipping through the post office. I did for a while. I stopped using them back in, I think it was right around 2021. I stopped using the post office and went to UPS because I was having some serious issues. Went to UPS for a while. Had decent luck, but for the small amount of packages that I was sending, I actually ran into more problems through UPS. Slow shipments. All of my shipments made it to where they needed to go, but they were really UPS. And it wasn't like I was sending it through the basic ground mail. I think it was like the 3-day or whatever it was. Whatever the mid-tier option was. But I was running into issues with UPS. So I did a couple test runs back to the post office and things were going smooth. So I went back to using the post office. So yeah, Dave, like I said, post office has done pretty well for me. Overall, they really have. There was a time I would have never used the post office, but this was before I was even doing triggers. I ran into some issues, but here lately, so far, who knows? Things change. Once you think you have something down and things are good, it changes. That is something that I've come to realize as time has gone on. So as for shipping, that's one of those things. The other thing that I have been working on, the people in my post office know me pretty well. So they don't even bat an eye. There's actually one lady at the post office that actually watches the Tactical Pontoon videos, and her boyfriend watches and is going to order a trigger and stuff. So they pretty much know me at this point. I'm always dropping off packages until you have a problem. Yeah. That's one thing that I kind of worked into my brain was, unless it's, if I was an FFL or something, or doing framework and that sort of thing, and we're talking expensive, even more expensive stuff than what I do, I would be more hesitant, shall we say, about what I send out. I have put it in my brain, if something goes wrong, I will make it happen and make it right and ship something again. If something disappears, I'll figure a way to make it right and get it out there without trying to worry about going through insurance and that sort of thing. Because I look at the hassle of one versus my own sanity, and I'd rather at some point lose a little bit of money. But like I said, that's with my business. If I was dealing with people's guns and their frames and whatever the case might be, yeah, I'd definitely be less. I'd use a different service. I had a thought that went, but it seems to have left. When it comes back, I'll bring it back up. The one thing that I did do, amongst other things that I did this week, is with the micro, this little unicorn right here, I have finalized the tune-up kit for these guys. Okay, so the micro dagger is going to open up a ton of different opportunity for both people that want to do a full build and do something completely off the wall, kind of the builds that I prefer to do, or it's also going to open the door for people that want something a little bit less expensive, which is more, it seems to be more along the lines of a lot of the dagger owners, because I see the dagger as kind of like the stepping stone into the world of Glock modifications. Nothing wrong with that. We all start somewhere. And hey, so be it. If that's all you ever want to do is cheap builds, I'm fine with that. I have a Dodge Neon that I've spent way too much money on. I have no room to talk. So, the Dagger tune-up kit, the DIY Dagger tune-up kit. You will keep your factory trigger bar. You will keep your factory trigger housing. You will keep your factory ejector and that sort of thing. So, this doesn't work on the Glock 43 because the Dagger micro Dagger has a different trigger bar, a different trigger return spring than a G43. So this kit is for the micro Dagger when it releases. It will include a trigger shoe. It will include a striker spring, a heavier weight trigger return spring, kind of like the difference between a 5-pound and a 6-pound trigger spring for a Generation 3, and obviously some badger snot. I am not including a connector with these tune-up kits. It's not needed. The one thing about the Slimlines, they got that connector right from the start. Well, when I say the start, the minus connector that goes in all of them, that everybody is pretty much copied as the basic connector. Ghost makes a 3.5-pound edge connector, they call it. Lone Wolf's got one. There's some Chinese ones running around. I don't really like any of them. The factory Glock style negative connector, which the micro dagger has a copy of, or a clone of, or variation of, is a great connector. So I'm leaving that alone. You don't need to change the connector. Do not change the connector. In my humble opinion, my kits, my full trigger kits systems will include a connector, but it's a factory connector that I've modified and cleaned up. But the Dagger tune-up kit, the micro Dagger tune-up kit, it's good. You're looking at about a pound, depending on how you run things, about a pound lighter than the factory out of the box micro dagger. The biggest thing, the biggest claim to fame, if you will, is of course getting rid of your grandpa's hinged Smith & Wesson style trigger. You've got the flat Peacemaker trigger in there. That alone is an excellent upgrade. But the thing about the micro is, out of the box, it really has one of the nicer slimline trigger experiences aside from the hinge. Not a fan of the hinge trigger, but hey, we got the fix for that. So the micro dagger tune-up kit will be hitting the website this week. The problem is, of course, nobody's got a micro dagger except for like 10 people. But it will be there when you're ready, when you get one in hand, or you can have one, you can order one and put it on the shelf until the micro dagger comes out. So yeah, I've got that going. I wish it was more exciting. I wish more of you guys had one of these to start playing with. I really want another one. I want one of these frames for myself. Since the Glock 43 release, since the Glock 48, the CR920, I've not really had a huge want to do a slimline build. CR920 was close. I was close to just biting the bullet and getting a CR920 to do a tactical pontoon build on. But I didn't do it. I waited. Now I'm waiting for the micro dagger. I I'm one of the fanboys now who's screaming about the micro dagger because I like this frame. It's the price point. Now, granted, I don't know what the price point will be for just the frame by itself, and that's what I want, is just the frame by itself. But I can imagine if it's anywhere like the dagger, it's going to come in at a relatively nice price point of probably anywhere from $50 to $100. This is just my guess. I have no inside information on that. I wish I did. So I want to do a micro dagger build. But I have to wait, just like everybody else does. I would love to build this one out. I've been tempted to do so, but I'm going to wait. This is a test platform. It's going to get a ton of triggers run through it, kind of like, no, I'm not going to say. I was going to make a your mama joke, but I'm not. Be good, James. Be good. Yeah. So the micro dagger Peacemaker tune-up kit will be hitting the website soon. Hopefully the micro dagger gets on the website or gets on PSA's website soon so that you guys can utilize them. That has kind of given me a kind of a push to do some more tune-up kits, dedicated tune-up kits for Glock, actual Glocks, other clones like SCT, Zev, just kind of a tune-up kit versus a full trigger system. That's something I'm looking at. Desert Tactical, old Dave there, which if you're watching, go sub to his channel. Good guy. Which micro slide did you get? The first one they released as a full one is this MC2 or MC1 ported slide or integral comp slide. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's just not my style. The first, I know. Okay, which was that? Is that just was it a G48 long slide or was it the short slide? My thing is when I build one of these, my plan is to basically go the 43X style, so it'll be the shorter slide instead of the longer 48. I'm a fan of the shorter length guns like a G19X, G45. Now, don't get me wrong, love my G17L, but I've never been a big fan of where you chop the grip of a 19 and turn it into a 26, but you've got the 19 slide, or just always been opposite. Back in the day, you would call it the Commander. That's what like a 1911 Commander was, the full size grip with the shorter size slide. That's what the 19X was. You call it a Commander grip Glock. Okay, so you got one of the short ones. Would you like a MC1? Maybe we could do some trading. I don't know. I better not do that. I might get in trouble with Matt. Not that I could get. I don't know. What did I do? Matt is not my boss. Now, if PSA was actually paying me, that would be great. But they're not. I just don't want to step on their toes with getting rid of this slide. I better not. I swore that I wouldn't. Not that I swore anything. I just begged and screamed and cried for one of these. Anyways, 43 first week they came out, sold it after 6 months, and bought a 17L. The 17L is a monster. I love the 17L. The one thing that I will say, when it does come to these micros, and when things do release, and we're seeing more of these magazines out there and whatnot. Magwells. I don't have a direct idea of who I might talk to. I mean, I got a couple ideas for magwells. So while I myself am not a manufacturer, I may look into pushing some things around to see about doing a magwell for one of these. It's a possibility. We will see. I know that GG Magwells for the PSA Dagger, those things have been flying off the shelves for them, and that's a really nice Magwell. But maybe we'll see. Tactical Pontoon might do something on the Magwell side of things, but we'll see. No promises. No, I've not tried any of the AAC ammo myself. I've seen good things. I've seen some interesting things on, I think it was the 223. I think there were some people that might have been having some issues, but then again, with 223 or your 5.56, I mean, that could come down to whatever type of build somebody's running it in. So that I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Dave, look at that. AAC ammo. We got a man who's already been through it. Back to the Magwell idea and things. I briefly mentioned GG Magwells, and I don't know if you guys have seen, but the people behind GG Magwells have something else that is coming out. A new Glock 19 frame. I know. There's a ton of Glock 19 frames, but this one does look pretty interesting. As they all. I mean, it's another option. It's another toy to build. But under get grip or gritgrips.com, and if you go to GG Magwells, they've got a link to the new website for their new frame, which currently does not have a pre-order. It's just it's an announcement, and I reached out to try to get a hold of them to maybe get some more information. And aside from what is on their website, that's kind of what we all know right now. Didn't get it does say this year. This year is getting close to being over already. 2023, go figure. Be in 2024 before we know it. But it looks interesting. It looks very ergonomic, and it will have molded in rails from what I'm told. It does have a really, really cool looking grip on it. It looks ergonomic. If you look on the website, it does show that it has more of an upright angle versus the traditional Glock angle. Well, I know what you're saying there about no full size, but SCT, another manufacturer, we've seen the SCT 19, they're supposed to, before the end of the year, do a Glock 17 based on Generation 3. Now, you've got Nomad, which does a Generation 5 based full-size frame, but then again, you're looking at not everything from the full-size Glock 17, from the earlier generations, it's going to fit in that. So that kind of throws a little bit of a wrench in the plans. But SCT will be doing everything I've been told, and they actually sent me an email. They saw one of the videos I did on their SCT 19 frame. They sent me an email, and we got to talking back and forth. They said they've got a full-size frame coming. So that's the frame I shared a few days ago. Get Grips or gritgrips.com. GG Magwells. Go to their website. There will be Dave. Like I said, go to GG Magwells. They have a link to that frame. That's the frame I was originally talking about. That's the one. Glock 19, like I said, yeah, there's a ton of Glock 19 frames out there, and I'm with you on the full size frame. I would like some full size frame options. I love my G19s. I do. I do. But man, I would love to build a couple Glock 31s, Glock 17s. I've got parts waiting, and I never did the P80 thing. You guys have heard me rant about, not really rant about P80, but it's just never been my thing. Yeah. Stuart, of shooting Glock, it took a while to get used to shooting P80 lowers because of the difference in the grip. It's if you're used to shooting a Glock, you know, it can be a change, going back to the more upright grip of like a 1911 style, call it. Me personally, I have no problem. I like the Glock grip. I like, obviously, some stippled Glock grips. I really like the what Quintero Customs called the Razorback grip, which has the hump back here. I really like those. Those are really comfortable. Come on back, Shane, wherever you are. Come back, build guns again. But again, when it comes to the grip angle, while I like the Glock grip angle, I don't have any problem with it. I'm not really a professional shooter. I build triggers for people that so if it's not for you, or if it is for you, that's, everybody's got preference. That's the beautiful thing about all these aftermarket frames, and the artists that can work with polymer and turn a factory frame into a different grip angle. I don't know if you guys have been around and watched some of the people that will literally, they'll cut the factory frame and mold and literally take that back hump and they'll remove material, cut reliefs in it, and bring that back hump down into a more straight. When it's done, it looks like a factory gun, aside from being stippled. There are people that do some amazing work on these things, and the one that I'm going to have built soon is a G26X. That's one that I really want. I got a couple different shops that do them at one time. Excuse me here. At one time, it was there was really only one guy that did it. That would be Shootist Tactical. I believe he was the first. I was going to have him do one. He's pretty much retired from the gun industry at this point, and he retired before I got a chance to have him do one. And Quintero Customs, Shane, he's done a few. He was kind of the one that could carry the torch. Life got busy, and he's kind of on a hiatus for now. I'm going to keep bugging him to get back in the business. But you have JM Customs that does the 26X, and even back then, before the 19X and the G45s were popular, he was doing that. He was doing the original 19X as well. Shootist Tactical, Battlecock Tactical, or he's doing the 26Xs. So if anywhere, and I've heard Tommy Gun Stippling is looking at getting into doing the 26Xs. So there's options, and I'm gonna have one done. That's kind of one of those sizes that I really want to have done. 26X. Battlecock, yeah, he is. He's done some really interesting builds. I really haven't seen him push the limits in a while, to be honest. He's probably too busy. I mean, he does excellent work. But there was the 26XXL, he did a really cool 1911 inspired one back in, I'm gonna say 2018, 2019. um I mean, he really went in. The He took an apex trigger and he cut it down, cut into the metal, did some shaving on it. Didn't look like an apex when he was done. The the way that he had it cerakoted, which is KM, cannot remember his cerakoter. They work on a lot of different projects. Basically, the whole thing looked like an amalgamation of a 1911. It was really neat build. He's done some interesting ones. Haven't seen him really do anything too crazy here in a while, but I'm sure he'll come up with something before too long. But yeah, it's always fun to watch his stuff come along, and he does. He's like a machine, especially his net texture. That is a machine. He doesn't use a machine. He just is like a machine. Um okay. What else? What else has been going on, or what is up in the tactical pontoon world? I was hoping that I would have the new Peacemaker stickers on hand so I could show them off on the stream, but they haven't come in yet. Hopefully this week we will see. One other thing, next weekend, depending on everything, I cannot promise that we will have the stream. We should. I don't. I should be able to do the stream. Kind of a quick. I have a small in and out day surgery that I have this coming Friday, and I'm supposed to be off my feet for a week. Not that I will completely listen to that. So depending on how I feel, and depending on how debilitated I am, I will I'll give you guys an update whether the stream will happen after, when I know how I'm feeling. So um um it's just a quick in and out surgery. Got a little thing they need to remove. And when I say little, it's not my penis. It is in that area. It is in that area. Yeah. So little bit of fun. That I have to. It's been expensive. The main thing is it has been very expensive. I am self-paying for all of this. It's very funny, the thing about when you self-pay all of this. The actual surgeon's bill is like $900. Okay. I was like, okay, that's cool. The hospital's part of that is $8,000. And I actually was able to, because of where I'm located, I was able to shop around per se to hospitals. They had two different options for me. The one, they had the bigger city hospital, and it was almost $14,000. Another human head to my shoulder. No, uh, that would be a little bit more expensive. I actually checked on that, and human heads are a little bit more expensive than that. So we're looking at $14,000 at the bigger city hospital, and then the smaller local hospital was right at about 8. Then you throw in the different X-rays, the blood work, and it's funny because when you go and you go to these labs, they you're self-paying. They give you a bill, you swipe the card, you pay it, and you're like, okay, I've paid for my service here. And then you get home, and 3 days later they send you another bill because you just paid for the people behind the counter that basically checked you into the office. You didn't pay for the blood that was drawn and the tests that were performed. So $200 that you paid wasn't really for the service. It was just for the office that you went into. So they send you another bill later on. And then you go to I was extremely surprised because I had my pre-op visit at the doctor's, and normally it's like $150 or $200. And when the lady behind the counter said $30, I said, "Are you sure it's not more?" She said, "No, it's actually 30. You're just paying for the time of the nurse." So and that was a quick 30-minute visit. So that's been the cheapest part of this relatively simple ordeal. And it's a simple little surgery. It's kind of stupid, but it's got to be done. Um, and I'm one of those people that if it didn't, I mean, technically, I could live the rest of my life without having the surgery done, but I don't know. Maybe not. It's gotten annoying, but without getting into too much detail, so that's coming up this Friday, probably really early in the morning. They said to stay off my feet. They also said I'd be relatively sore. Doesn't surprise me there. And I'm sure, like, yes, Dave, thank you. And I'm sure it will. I heal up pretty well on a lot of different things, relatively healthy. And I will say this. I thought it was something much worse. And this was something that I found out about back in April or so. And I was pretty alarmed. Uh, and I let it stew for a while, in the back of my mind before finally admitting that maybe I should go have it checked out. And I was trying to get my mind around, okay, well, if it is this and I'm looking at a certain period of time, well, okay, let me get stuff in order. Anyways, things are good. This is a good thing. I get that little surgery out of the way. Supposed to be off my feet for a week. Can't guarantee. I will be up and about as soon as I possibly can, but I'm not going to go lifting weights or anything. But I'll take it easy. I'll find a way to get out to the shop and get some work done so that it's not a completely dead week. But that being said, if I don't do the stream next week, you might understand why. And I'll keep you guys up to date as to where I'm at and that sort of thing. But things will be fine. Things will be fine. No big deal. But if I don't do the stream next week, now you know why. So yeah. Does anybody have any? I'll try to focus on the recovery. I'm like I said, I normally, I've got my little gym set up in the shop. While I am a fat kid, I actually do work out almost every single day. Probably could do more cardio. I've actually started on sticking to more cardio, but you know how it is. Nobody wants to do cardio. You got the weights out there. You're going to do the weights. On the Admiral. What is the Admiral? Rebranded 1911. Which rebranded 1911? You got was it the aardvark or the platypus? Which is, are you talking, is that PSA's 1911? Is it Admiral? I'm gonna be honest. Here lately, I have been a little bit out of touch with all of what's going on. From what I understand, on PSA's rebranded 1911, it is a rock. What's the name? What's the Rock Island, which is the 1911. If I was going to play with 1911s, I planned on starting out with a Rock Island 1911, because of all of the lower priced 1911s, Rock Island seems to be the one that had the best tolerances and the best, starting point if you wanted a basic 1911. So that being said, PSA made, in my uneducated opinion, if you will, the better choice of where to start with when it comes with 1911. So, I've seen nothing. I wouldn't say nothing, but I've seen a lot of good things about Rock Island Armory's 1911s. So that being said, PSA, you're looking at probably along the same lines. Maybe they've upgraded a few things, but for a good basic starter 1911, it's probably not a bad deal. I really haven't looked at them too close, except for just what I have heard and looking at them side by side. People have posted pictures of them with Rock Island Armories, and they're basically the same aside from a few details. So my thoughts, probably not a bad place to start. And trust me, I have considered multiple times tinkering with 1911s, 2011s, but I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. Still have my Glocks that I'm always looking for that next thing that I can do to improve the work that I've already done, or take it all back to the ground and do something different. That's why I was really excited when Timney was coming out with their triggers. And when I originally saw their design, I thought that's really cool. The GPT Glock Performance trigger, better implementation, still not perfect. It's good. It's not perfect. We'll see. Maybe we'll get something better out. But that being said, I'm gonna jump off here. Hopefully, I'll see you guys next week on stream. If not, that means I'm resting up, and which means I'm gonna try not to be a fat kid next week. I've got enough. Take it sleep. I'm gonna try not to be too much of a fat kid while I'm laying around healing, because I'm already too much of a fat kid this year. Way too much of a fat kid this year. So, anyways, all right, guys, I will catch you next time, whether it's next week or the week after, and I'll keep you guys updated through the different social medias and whatnot. And if you ever have any questions, feel free to hit me up on email. Email is probably the best way. I've said this multiple times lately. Instagram has just been terrible with getting me messages. Just saying. But all right, guys, I will catch you in the next one. TacticalPontoon.com, TacticalPontoon@gmail.com for to get a hold of me. All right, I'll catch you next time. Later.